All right, for our next project, I'm going to give you two choices. With your half sheet, you can either trace your hand like I did if you wanted to do a hand ornament, or if you want to do something that looks more like an ornament, we'll take our sheet and you can just about anything to trace. I've got some cans that work really well. They're nice and big. You could use a big glass or a bowl. It needs to fit inside of your shrink film. Now these are going to shrink when we cook them in the oven. So right now they look big, but they're going to shrink a little bit when we cook them, and they're going to get thicker and harder. So we want to make sure that we start nice and big. We don't want any teeny tiny ornaments because they're going to shrink and they're going to be even more teeny tiny. So I'm going to take this can and trace it. I'm going to use a Sharpie to do this. You don't want to use Crayola markers for this part because it's going to wipe right off when you get near it. You can see even on this one where I traced my friend Elliot's hand, he's in Mrs. Hallis's kindergarten, you can see how a little bit of it smudged even because the marker was wet when I picked it up. Now I'm going to go ahead and put a line here and a line here, and then I'm just going to draw kind of like a curved line at the top to make it look more like an ornament and less like a circle. If you want to just leave it a circle, you could do that too. And then we're going to cut these out. So it's your choice if you were doing the ornament or if you were doing the handprint. We're going to cut around the edge. Remember, our scissors are pointing away from our bodies, our thumbs are pointing up, and our other hand that is holding the paper is out of the scissors. And the only hand that moves is our paper hand. Our scissor hand doesn't move. Those scissors are just always pointing away from our body. You go around, trying to stay on that line as much as possible. All right, there's one. If you chose to do the hand, I'm going to show you a couple tricks to make cutting our hands a little easier. First, we're going to go just up the outside, and we're going to hit the tops of the fingers. Instead of going in and out of every finger, we're just going to do the outside first. This should make it a little easier to cut because this shrink film is a little bit thicker than construction paper even. So if you're having trouble, ask your grown-up for help. And then I'm going to go in and cut those finger gaps. I'll do the same thing here. Keep my finger out of the way. I'm cutting. And see how that just falls right out. I'll do that with all of my fingers. I'm going to try to get this curve, come down to that point, and then on the other side I do the same thing. Come down and cut out that triangle. Sometimes you need to pull it a little. We have power fingers, we can do it. All right, into that one. If you have any little bumps like I did where your grown-up didn't, or you wiggled your finger, or your grown-up maybe wiggled the marker, that's okay. Have your grown-up help you trace your hand. And then same thing, keep those fingers out of the way. And then we want to come in and down. Now I'm going to pull this. Once we've cut out our ornament or hanging decoration, we are going to need to put a hole in it. Now the easiest way to do this is a paper punch, but I know a lot of you don't have that. So you're going to need to ask your grown-up for a little bit of help with this next step. You can use a box cutter or an X-Acto knife or even a sharp kitchen knife. You can't really pinch these to get scissors in there, so it's a little bit more difficult with scissors. That's why we need to ask a grown-up for help so that we can get that hole put in. I'm going to use an X-Acto knife, and I'm going to hang mine this way, and I'm going to just put a little square in this. Again, this is only for us to do. There's no kids should be using any kind of a sharp object like a knife without your grown-up. They need to do this for you. Then I'll pop it out if it will, and it won't. I didn't get all the way through the corners. You want to make sure there's enough space between your hole and the edge so that it doesn't come, your string doesn't pull through. I'm having a little bit of trouble with these corners. There we go. Now I'll pop that out. So you can see I have a little hole here. Or if you are using a box cutter, the same thing. You would just push that out. Again, this is only for grown-ups, and you can draw a little hole here. You're going to want to do it on a magazine or a cutting board or something so that you don't cut it through. I know mine is really dull. You may need to go in on the back side as well. Okay, there we go. So now you can see I've put a little hole here. Now, these are going to be visible on both sides, so I'm going to go back and you can see that curved line. It's hard to see because my light is shining through, but you can see that curved line through the back. I'm going to trace that on this side so that it looks like an ornament. Now, to decorate these, you can use Sharpies, which work best, or you can use colored pencil. The colored pencils do turn out a little bit lighter, but if you wanted to use them, they will still work. They're just really, really light. So you can see when I'm coloring, to really push hard to get them to deposit any color onto the shrink film. But they still work. They're just going to be very light. You could put your name. So maybe I'll put Elliot's name here, since he was my model. I'm going to make my lettering fancy. You don't have to do that. Unless you want to. And then I'm going to put the year on it as well. So this is 2021. Okay. And then you can add any other decorations you want. So I'm going to go ahead and add some decorations. Okay, if you were doing the ornament, you could also do a very fancy design on it, and you can do both sides. When we cook them, they will shrink up and we will add our string. So I'm going to go ahead and add a design to this one. Okay, so I drew a picture of my family. I just drew our faces because I wanted to add some words. I'm so sorry about this glare. I wanted to add some words below it. I have Rogers 2021, or you could put your family name or your name. On the other example, whatever you decide to do, you're either going to do a handprint or an ornament. I have a snowman on this one, and I have my students or my artist's name on it in 2021. That's our year. I did a little bit of coloring, as you can see, around the edges with the colored pencil, just trying to make these look more like snowballs. I don't know how it will turn out, so we'll have to see. We are going to take these and cook them in the oven at 300 to 350 degrees for 2 to 3 minutes. So grown-ups have to put these in the oven for you. And you're going to watch them, and they're going to wrinkle up, and they're going to curl up, and then they're going to straighten back down and get flat. After they've curled up and wrinkled and they go flat again, that's when they're ready to pull out. So you're going to need to watch these while they're in the oven. And as soon as you see them flatten back out again, they need to come out. Your grown-up again will help you take them out of the oven. And we will see what they look like, and we'll tie on some string. All right, our ornaments have come out of the oven. You can see how much they shrunk. They are a little bit thicker now, and they are definitely hard. They're like plastic now. So in my oven, I cooked it at 300, and I had to leave it in there about 4 minutes. It took a little longer, but my oven's also kind of old, so that could have something to do with it. You're just going to have to keep an eye on it and wait for them to get flat again. You can see my snowman on the other side, and my hole is still there. On this ornament, we have the family portrait, and we have Rogers on the back. If you notice, they do get a little bit darker when they come out, so don't be afraid of light-colored Sharpies. Even my colored pencil came out a lot darker, so that's really good news when we're coloring. You can see how much darker the colored pencil. It was really, really light before I put it in the oven, and it got a lot darker. Okay, we're gonna just tie a little string through it, and we can go ahead and hang these wherever we would like. You can make them into a little necklace as a gift, or you could hang them on your tree if you celebrate Christmas. You could make just hang them around your house if you celebrate any of the other winter holidays like Hanukkah or Kwanzaa. You could also take a pipe cleaner. I usually just cut these in half and pop it through. Give it a little twist at the top. Remember, we crisscross them to make bunny ears, and then we twist, twist, twist. And then we have our ornament to hang or to display somewhere else. Okay. I hope that you have fun. I can't wait to hear all about your craft night projects.